everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Colleen. I write science fiction and fantasy stories. Today I wanted to talk about writing daily and why it doesn't work for me. I'm sure some of you, or most of you, or all of you, have already seen videos or like writing advice blogs listing out why writing daily is helpful. I'm sure those things are applicable to some of you or most of you, but I believe it doesn't really work that way for me. There are 4 points that kind of reasons out why writing daily doesn't work for me or isn't as useful to me compared to maybe other people. My first point is that it becomes something I dread, or it becomes more of a chore to do. I really don't want to have like a bad relationship with writing, especially when I was in school, like high school, university. Writing was something that I never did for fun. It was always because I had to submit an assignment. It was only after I took creative writing classes that it became a little bit more fun for me. It still, obviously, you have to submit assignments. So it became a little bit of like something that I had to do instead of something that I would like to do because I enjoy it. Not as a hobby, but maybe something that I can share in the future. It's really hard to force myself to write, especially if I'm stuck on a scene or a dialogue or interiority that doesn't make sense. Like sometimes when I know I need to get over those bumps, forcing myself doesn't usually work. I usually wait for creativity to come back. I know sometimes you have to actively like activate that part of your brain. Oftentimes when that happens, I either read, research more about my story, or like world building stuff, or read or watch videos on writing techniques. Sometimes when I get stuck, it's usually because of a skill issue, like I don't know how to do something, and usually just listening to writing, what do you call it, like writing classes, not really classes, but the free versions that you see online, just advice and techniques that I can apply, and that usually gets me over the bump. So it's not really just writing it out. It doesn't help me at all. It's usually the research, the learning part that gets me over anything that makes me stuck. A second one is that I'm not usually in a place where I can write. I don't really schedule a writing time, but I usually do it at night. And sometimes I do work at night with my other job. So sometimes I don't have either the time or the resources to write. Writing in public places is something that not that I avoid it, it's just that I get distracted easily. So it's really hard for me to actually write in public. The only public place that I can actually write at is at a library, just because I know everyone is working on something, and no one's there to socialize. So I guess the energy in a library, it just makes it easier for me to focus. And like whenever I don't have my laptop, writing on a notebook is more of a, not really a detriment, but I have really bad handwriting. So sometimes I don't understand what I'm writing, like when I read it back. So it's either okay, like I get something out of writing on a notebook, but sometimes I just don't understand it. It just makes me frustrated. And then writing on my phone, I mean, that is okay. I'm fine with that. It's the focusing part that's really annoying. Usually when I can't focus, I don't force it because it's kind of just wasting time, because either I'm half focused on what I'm supposed to be doing and half focused on something that's distracting me. And both of those things, I don't know what's going on. Like your brain is focusing on two things at the same time, but none of those two things are being processed by your brain. So that's when that happens, it's really annoying because it just wasted my time. Nothing went inside my head. So forcing myself to write when, even like reading or listening to an audiobook, I usually can't do that when I'm out in public. Sometimes when I take the bus, I try to listen to an audiobook. I usually can't do that because I want to be aware of my surroundings, just in case, something happens when, you never know when they announce something on the SkyTrain or the bus. So I usually have like one earpod out of my ear to make sure that I'm aware, especially because I have bad hearing. I think it's like the auditory processing disorder. So it's not really about my ears itself, it's how I process the sound. I'm not diagnosed, but I feel like it's that. That's the reason. It's so expensive to actually get a diagnosis for that. When they test you, it's not covered by insurance. But anyway, so I really want to be aware of my surroundings when I'm in public. And sometimes that causes distraction. Like I can't read a book. The only time that I've actually read a book out in public was when I was able to grab a seat on the train. And I like it was so full that no one can even go in. So no one's gonna be moving around. So I was able to focus on the book. But usually it doesn't work for me. So even reading doesn't work for me. So writing would be even worse. The third point is that I don't know what you call it, like a mood writer, a vibe writer. I only write when I'm in the right mood, not just, like I'm in a productive mood, but also like creativity wise, I need to have like that energy where I feel like I can write a lot of things. Sometimes if I don't have that energy, it's just, wasting time. Again, I'm just sitting on the computer, in front of a computer and not really writing anything. The few times that I've actually forced myself to write, I actually only wrote one sentence. It's usually difficult for me to even get anything out. It is, let's see, the work that or not just the work, but like anything that I write or do when I'm in a creative mood is always 100 times better. Not in a way that it's like perfect, but in a way that I can see myself, or I can see my writing getting better. Usually, when I force myself and I'm not in the mood or in the right mindset to write, it's not even bad writing, but it's just like I didn't learn anything. Like I didn't go to school for creative writing. It's just like, basic. Like I wouldn't say bad, but it's, something that makes it seem like I don't know how to write. And the last one, I think this is the main point for why writing daily doesn't work for me, is that it, in my opinion, promotes bad writing in a way. What I mean by that is that if you keep writing, if you're writing daily and writing daily becomes the goal, you're in a vacuum. You're not really exploring other techniques or learning, from reading, from watching, from researching. It becomes like even the, what do you call it, the 10,000 hour thing, and you become a master. It's not really, I don't really believe in that, because even if you do it multiple times and over and you get this much hours, from doing it, it doesn't really matter if you're not learning outside of that. It's like you're doing something, but you don't even know if what you're doing is right, and you're repeating something that could be wrong, and that's what you learn. And it's like, for example, when I was like swimming, I used to turn my head just one side. Like when I'm swimming freestyle, I used to turn my head one side because it's easy. But then it made it difficult for me to actually swim, because you're supposed to turn your head one side and then the other side. But then because I only turn my head one side, I can only breathe on one side. So then when I'm swimming, it takes more before I can breathe again. And sometimes it's my lungs give out. But it's like practicing bad habits, and you don't know you have those bad habits because you're not really learning outside of just writing. And I think that for sure is one of the main reasons why I don't just write. I think when we talk about writing, I think actually most of us really include researching, learning. But when you say writing daily, it's about putting words on paper. I think there are a lot of benefits, definitely. But for me, I think the cons outweigh the pros in a way that if it becomes a focus for me to write every day, it's not even about elevating your craft, it's about word count. And that's something that I think I should avoid, because it's not really about how much you write, it's about the quality of what you're writing. I know a lot of writers out there believe that writing daily, I don't know. I don't even know if they believe it or if any believe that writing daily makes their writing better. I don't really read a lot of those advice because I know that I can't do it. It's something that my brain is not programmed to do. Just not just even in writing, but just forcing myself to do anything daily. That's like obviously not eating, showering, and sleeping. But like forcing myself to do anything daily always becomes a chore for me. Like when I was in a swim team, I used to practice actually daily after school and during the weekends. And like the fun of it just eventually faded because it became something that I'm forced to do. Like I had to go to swimming lessons. I had to, you know, swim this many laps. Uh, but it becomes something that's not no longer fun, and that's not something I want my writing to happen, like my relationship with writing to happen. I know eventually when I get to publish something and I, have a publisher, have an agent, that's something that they would expect from me. But I don't think I will force myself to sell like a lot of books just so, I sell books. But I want to prioritize the quality of the writing and also my relationship with writing, because I don't want to be like in the future, I don't want to end up hating writing because it becomes something of a chore, if that makes sense. I don't want to hate writing because it's paying the bills and I have to write. That's mainly why I didn't choose like journalism or anything like that as a profession, because I want to separate writing for now anyway. I want to separate writing from you know doing the job that pays the bills. I don't know if anyone feels the same way, but that is my opinion on writing daily. Um, I do believe that the the benefits for writing daily does like people definitely see those benefits, but for me, it just doesn't. I don't see it. It's not happening for me. I would rather work around something that improves my writing rather than fitting in a, I don't know, catch all situation. I want to modify things so that it suits not just I guess my neurodivergency, but also just me, how I develop habits, how I learn. Yeah, so I think that's the most important part, is just you know tweaking things so that it works for you, specifically for you, and not just following what other people do, because we're different. Everyone's different. There is not one thing that applies to everyone the same way. How we shower, how we eat, it's all different. So I don't see why I would, you know, follow a general advice and force myself, to do it, because we're different. Everyone's different. But yeah, that is all for today. For any writing updates, I actually haven't written a lot. I was a little bit busy with the bookstore, but I am going back. I have decided to write the story in a script format first. It's not because I'm gonna adapt it into a movie. No, it's because it. Whenever I write scripts, it kind of takes out any distractions. You know, it forces me to focus on what's really happening, how I want the scenes, the events to unfold, and the dialogue, and then I can just add the descriptions after. I think just seeing it as a script first will organize my thoughts on how I want events to unfold. I think that would also kind of speed up my writing process, just because sometimes when writing novels, I forget to write interiority and descriptions just because I was so used to writing scripts. Writing it in a script format first will, I think, speed up my writing process and just makes it a bit more organized. I haven't read any books. I was reading something, but I haven't finished it yet, and I need to finish it. But I have a lot of books, new books added to my TBR. I really need to start reading again, but I haven't read a book. Actually, I think I don't know if I mentioned it. I read The Poisoner. The Poisoner. I forgot who the author is. I think it's been released. I had an arc for that book, but I think it's now published. It is okay. Like I liked reading it, but I know there was a scene that a lot of people didn't like, but I didn't really see it that way. I don't know if I should say it. Yeah, there was a scene that a lot of people didn't like, but I think, spoiler. Actually, no, I won't say it. Just you can read the Goodreads reviews on that book. Let me check actually who wrote it. Ivy Ophelia. Ivy Ophelia wrote The Poisoner. Yeah, there was a scene that a lot of people didn't like, but I guess I'm being like dense again because I didn't see it that way. I think there were parts that were like left implied in a way, not even implied, but like left to the reader's imagination, or interpretation. So that's kind of why I didn't see it that way. But anyway, I read that book. Yeah, no other updates. I will try to post something again in a month, maybe. Uh, it took me a while to make this video just because I didn't really want to write down a script, but I wrote down my thoughts anyway. But yeah, I will try to update again in a month or so. Thank you for watching my video, and I will see you next time.